I am Francisco Madero, a man driven by the belief that democracy, justice, and freedom could transform Mexico. Born in 1873 to a wealthy family in Coahuila, I grew up privileged but deeply aware of the inequality and oppression faced by most Mexicans under the rule of Porfirio Diaz, who had been president for over 3 decades. His regime brought stability and economic growth, but it was built on the backs of the poor, with land seized from indigenous communities and wealth concentrated in the hands of a few. In 1908, I published La Sucesión Presidential in 1910, a book that called for free elections and an end to Diaz's dictatorship. My ideas resonated with many, but they also marked me as a threat to the regime. When I announced my candidacy for the 1910 presidential election, I was arrested, and Diaz declared himself the winner. This blatant fraud convinced me that change would not come peacefully. In exile, I issued the Plan de San Luis Potosí, calling for Mexicans to rise up on November 20, 1910, to overthrow Diaz. This marked the beginning of the Mexican Revolution, a struggle not just for political freedom but for social justice. Peasants, workers, and revolutionaries rallied to the cause. Leaders like Emiliano Zapata in the south and Pancho Villa in the north brought their own demands for land reform and justice, transforming the revolution into a movement of the people. By May 1911, Diaz's forces were overwhelmed, and he resigned, fleeing to exile. I was hailed as the leader of the revolution, and in 1911, I was elected president. But the challenges of governing a divided and restless nation soon became clear. My vision was one of gradual reform, but many revolutionaries, like Zapata, demanded immediate action, particularly on land redistribution. Others, including former allies, saw me as too weak to control the chaos or too idealistic to handle the complexities of power. In 1913, my presidency was cut short by betrayal. General Victoriano Huerta, with support from conservative elites and foreign interests, orchestrated a coup. I was imprisoned and, soon after, assassinated. My death was a tragedy, but it did not end the revolution, it fueled it. The Mexican people continued to fight for the ideals I stood for: democracy, justice, and freedom. The Mexican Revolution lasted for a decade, leaving millions dead but ultimately reshaping the nation. It brought about a new constitution in 1917, with promises of land reform, labor rights, and education for all. Though my life was brief, I am remembered as the man who lit the spark of revolution, proving that even the mightiest dictators can fall when the people demand their rights.